Milton Erickson was an absolute genius. He could heal people in an hour or two from problems that they had had their entire lives. He developed a very, very powerful, very hypnotic communication model, including small language bits and large story structures that could heal people of their problems, that could vanish problems in an hour or two. They would come to see him and they would say, "Doc, I got this problem." And he would say, "Well, tell me about the problem." And they say, "Well, Doc, it's like this." And he would say, "That reminds me of a story." And he would tell these very convoluted, hard to follow, hypnotic stories. And inside of these stories would be the raw materials for the solutions to their problems. And these raw materials would get into their brain, and they would later put together the raw materials and solve their own problems and own the solutions to their own problems. That's why he was so successful. But there's an element about his communication style that is usually not talked about when people study the Milton model, when people practice Ericksonian hypnosis. And that is that when he was a kid, he had a near-death experience. According to the book, My Voice Will Go With You, when Erickson was a child, he had polio. He was in a wheelchair, and he almost died. In fact, he heard his doctor talking to his mom saying, "I don't think your son's going to last another day or two." And so Erickson, when he was a kid, heard this. He heard the doctor tell his mom that he was going to die. He looked out the window, he saw the sun, and he told himself, "This might be my last sunset." So he accepted his own death, but he didn't die. And something happens when you have a near-death experience. Something happens when you accept your death and you don't die. If you think about the life of hunter-gatherers, we have responses to certain social signals. If you do something good that helps the tribe out, you get a lot of positive social signals, and that feels very good. And that compels you to do more things, to help out other people, so you can get positive social signals and get those good feelings. But on the other hand, if you do something bad that harms the tribe, that puts the tribe in danger, you'll get a lot of negative social signals, and those feel terrible. And because of that terrible feeling, you'll be compelled to do less of that, which means you'll be doing less things that harm the tribe. And so we have this kind of tribal cohesion, social signal calibration system where we're motivated to do things to get good results. We're motivated against doing bad things to get the bad results. But the other side of these bad results, if we keep doing things that harm the tribe, if we keep doing things that get us these negative social signals, the ultimate punishment is death. We'll be kicked out of the tribe. So on the other side of any kind of negative social signals is this subconscious fear of death, which means if you think you're going to die and you accept your death and you don't die, the sting, the negative feelings of the negative social signals is not nearly as bad. They're no longer as painful. And so one thing that Erickson had going for him before he even became a counselor, a doctor, a therapist, was he had that near-death experience. So he didn't really care about negative social signals because the death that was on the other side of that had been vanished by his childhood experience. So he literally had the "I don't give a fuck" attitude. He was outcome independent, which made him free to experiment with how he talked to people. And that's how he was able to develop this hypnotic collection of skills, this hypnotic collection of language patterns, by experimenting with what he said to people, because he didn't care if he got a negative response, because that death, subconscious fear of death that was always on the other side of that negative response didn't exist anymore. And so that's one of his real secrets, was he would talk to patients and he was willing to try anything. He was willing to experiment with what he did with them, what he said to them, the stories he told to them, because he didn't care about any potential negative consequences. And that is the real secret about being insanely persuasive and seductive, is to develop that "I don't give a fuck" attitude, to not care about what people say. Not in a bad way, not that you hate people and you want to make it feel bad, but just to say playful, funny, happy things without being worried about any negative response. And this is the secret about communication that many people won't really ever understand, because it's hard to wrap your mind around. And that is, when you say something to somebody, they're not so much responding to the content of what you say, they're responding to how you say it. If you say something, but you're worried you're going to get rejected, they're not responding to the thing you said and rejecting you. They're responding to the subconscious worry of getting rejected. And they're rejecting you because that's what you're projecting, this fear of rejection. If you project a fear of rejection, that will invite rejection. But if you project a I don't care attitude, I have zero fear, you will be completely accepted. And so consider the holy grail of communication contains three kind of basic elements. One is you don't give a fuck about the response. Two, you are completely congruent when you speak. You say things with 100% congruence, 100% belief in yourself. And three, you appreciate yourself while you're saying those things. If you can combine these three elements, you can say whatever you want and people will accept you 100%, so long as you're not saying things like, hi, I'm a serial killer. I'm going to cut you open to see what's inside. Don't say stuff like that. But if you say things that are socially acceptable, socially seductive, socially playful, people will not only accept you, but they will absolutely love and cherish you. So how do you create these three elements? Well, you just need to practice. The first step is to practice feeling appreciation for yourself in as many different social situations as you can. Go somewhere and sit in public where there's some attractive people over here in your peripheral vision. And just sit there and appreciate the experience. Appreciate being yourself. Do this as often as you can. See this as a muscle that you can continuously build stronger and stronger. And then graduate to saying things to other people while you're appreciating your experience. Because here's the thing. The stronger you build that ability to appreciate yourself, you're pushing out all concern for outcome. You can't get rid of outcome. You can't become outcome independent by turning off in abstract the fear of outcome. But you can push it out of your brain by building up your ability to appreciate yourself as strongly as you can. And the more you practice this exercise, the easier this will become. So find somewhere socially and just appreciate being yourself in social situations, and do that until that sense of self-appreciation is so strong it has pushed out everything else from your brain. And then graduate to saying things to people and just play around with the things you can say to people. When you get to the point where you can talk to people, try something like this. Pre-frame the situation by fully appreciating yourself, appreciate who you are, appreciate your life, appreciate that you're alive and you have these opportunities. And walk up to somebody, a pretty girl, a pretty guy, and say, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt you. I don't mean to make you feel on the spot, but I just wanted to tell you that I think you're very, very attractive. And just say that, and while you say that, feel that deep sense of inner appreciation, that deep sense of I like being in my own skin while you say that. And just get bigger and bigger and get to bigger and bigger things that you say, longer and longer conversations. But the secret is to start off with this deep sense of inner appreciation for who you are. And that will push everything out of your brain, and go in small baby steps to saying things, to having conversations, to having longer conversations, and just play around and be playful and experiment and prove through experience, prove by building memories into your brain that you can say whatever you want and get away with it, and people will love you for it. So try this out. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you'd like to learn more, please check out the links below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.